Here's what I did this week on the farm. The greenhouse is really filling up. I'm moving a few more plants to the hardening off area. So this week in total, I've moved all my alliums, which are my scallions, and my chives. I've also moved my marigolds and zinnias, as well as my stock and my straw flower. Stock is edible and delicious, and also really beautiful in bouquets. And straw flower is really fun and also looks great in bouquets, but dries really well, and you can make garlands out of them, and they keep their color for a really, really long time as a dried flower. I also moved all my lettuces and my bok choy. So there's some pretty poorly germinated areas, like the spinach, just basically bare spots that I can put all my scallions in. And then there's an area of sorrel that enough of it popped up that it's not a wash, but it's enough empty spaces that I can fill it with the spinach that I've been seeding, because that's all come up beautifully. So this week I also received some manure. My neighbor Jim leases out some of his land to Pedro, who owns horses, and he gets a composted manure in return. And I was able to also get some, which was really nice. And then he's going to bring by some cow manure next week as well, which is incredible. Composted cow manure. I also dug more beds and did some flattening, furrowing, amending, and drip laying. I also had a volunteer day. A girl I met at the potluck I went to a couple weeks ago, Elizabeth, she came by and gave me a ton of help. It's obvious, but like you get so much more work done with two people than one person. I got everything off my list done. I was incredibly appreciative. Elizabeth and I covered the beds with compost. One bed was going to be transplanted immediately, so that bed got covered first, and then the other bed I direct seeded first, and then put compost on top of that, which is what I've been doing for all the beds. I haven't really been mentioning it, but compost has been going on every bed. I direct seeded the 8th bed with a mix of radishes and arugula that I broadcast seeded. My plan for that bed is to transplant squash into it, but I'm going to be using relay and intercropping methods this year. So the arugula gets mature enough to harvest, and then I harvest in patches where I then will be transplanting the squash, and then the cut arugula acts as basically like a secondary mulch on top of the compost mulch, and then radishes as well, just to maximize the empty space that will exist between the squash plants, because there's going to be a bit of time before they get big, so there's a lot of spacing there, but it won't be utilized for like the first few weeks that they are in the ground. This way I'm not wasting any space. We harvested from the mini bed some baby lettuce, arugula, and Easter egg radish, and we harvested about a bin of each because on Saturday was my first market. It was really exciting and it went really, really well. On Friday, I set up my wash pack station. It was like super temporary, using the tent that I'd taken from my first shaded cloth area that originally was in the greenhouse as my extra heated space for the hardening off plants. Now that it's getting warmer at night, I don't need that as much. So the temporary wash station was really just a tent set up with a little table that I had buckets set up on, and I filled them with water and then used the jet function and the angle function to just get the water bubbling. And then I did a soak and then a bubble, and then I ran it through a 5-gallon salad spinner that I got off the Webstaurant store that my friend Allie recommended to me. It worked really, really well. It was fun. I was excited to use it. And then I just bagged them. Each bag of salad greens was 3/10 of a pound. And then I did each radish bunch with 7 radishes. And out of my bin of each produce, I got 11 bags of baby lettuce and 7 bags of arugula, I think, and 11 bunches of radish. The radishes were a huge hit. They are beautiful and they're also multicolored, and I would say they taste very good, but the only person who knew that was a little boy who dared to ask for a sample, and how can you say no to a kid who wants a vegetable sample? But I sold out of all my veggies, which was really exciting. I had 1 bag of baby lettuce left over, but I just took that as my pay for the day. Yeah, it was like a huge success. Honestly, I would have just been happy if I made enough to cover the market fee, and I made more than that. So it was very exciting. Another exciting thing is that the article about my farm came out on Monday. So at the market, there were people who were coming up being like, "Oh, I read about you. Oh, you're the one I read about." It was really fun, and I was really excited. And I'm really excited for next week when I get to go to another one. Elizabeth also filled in germination gaps in the full grown chard and kale beds with some of the kale and chard that I germinated in the greenhouse. And the rest of that kale and chard, as well as the collards, is going to be going into bed number 9. And then I'm going to have to do a bit of remay shuffling, which I'm going to go head off to do. So before I do that, let me give you a little bit of content corner. I watched the movie Send Help after the farmer's market as a little treat, and it was just incredible. It was like really gross in ways I wasn't expecting it to be. And there were a lot of those, like, okay, I get it. This is supposed to be seen in 3D. I don't know what you want me to do about that now. And there was one like crypt keeper jump scare that I thought was interesting, but I just had so much fun when I was watching it, and I love endings like that. So I just thought it was a good time, and I had so much fun. And it's just like, you get Dylan O'Brien and Rachel McAdams. I could just watch the two of them for years, and I'm a huge Survivor girl, so that was also fun. So 10 out of 10 would recommend. I've been listening to the backlog of Behind the Bastards. Those episodes are long, so you can listen to like the whole 2, 3, 4 part series about one shitty person, and it's like a day of work, and I love that shit. That's my jam. I don't like to have to cue 17 things well, I guess it could be in silence, but I don't like doing that. And I haven't listened to music, but sometimes you just need a podcast because it really makes the time go by a little faster when it's hours and hours and hours. It's kind of like a road trip. I love driving with music, but an 8-hour drive, I need podcasts. So Behind the Bastards, I love it. And everything's connected, you know what I mean? And especially shitty people. So, and reading. The book I'm reading is not good. I hate it, but I have to figure out how it ends because I have a theory, and I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about it based on where I am and how many pages are left. But I just simply can't, in good conscience, recommend it. So, what I've been reading outside of that is my Vote by Mail handbook. So, everybody remember to vote. Voting is really, really, really important, especially in your local elections, because it's where your voice matters the most and where you can have the greatest impact and where you will see the impact the fastest. So please remember to vote. In Oregon, ballots are due by May 19th, and there's been a lot of shenanigans. So just make sure you get your ballot in the mail way earlier than that. So yeah, that's what I've been reading. And I'm going to go transplant some brassicas, but I'll catch you back here next week for week 19. Wow.